So we are here for the November 12th, 2023, Week 10 NFL TV schedule for 2023 season, 2023-2024 season. So this year, there hasn't been many simulcasts. There's only been one for Amazon, one each week for Amazon, and then week 3, there was one for when ABC had Monday night and ESPN had a different Monday night. ABC had one Monday night game, and then ESPN had a Monday night game. The ESPN game one time started they got 7:15 Eastern, and the ABC one started 8:30 Eastern, and then they flip flopped it, did it the ABC one started 7:15, and the ESPN one 8:15, 8:30 Eastern. So, and then they had the London game on ESPN Plus, the simulcast, as well as two of the London games and two Frankfurt Germany games. But there's going to be a break, of simulcasts until there's the simulcasts for the NFL Network games. There are simulcasts for the NFL Network games on, when college football's bowl games are. Then they do some. NFL Network does some games, a few exclusive games, and then usually they do a couple weeks of them, but not this year. I believe this year they're doing 3 and 1 on one Saturday. Then they're going to be doing one on Sunday on Christmas Eve night. They started doing one Christmas Eve night, which last year Christmas Eve night was on a Saturday. But now they're doing one on Christmas Eve night, which is Sunday night, which is kind of surprising having NFL Network do Sunday night football, even though it's Christmas Eve. But NBC is doing it because instead of showing, because usually they show a game on Christmas Eve night or Christmas night, the night game on Christmas. At least last year they did. It was a Sunday. They showed one on AB's on CBS and on Fox. Fox had one, CBS had one, and NBC had the night one. But since Monday Night Football is on ABC on Monday, while NBA basketball is on ESPN. Since ABC usually shows NBA basketball during the day and at night, except for that West Coast one for the local news. Otherwise, yeah. But apparently, not this, since they're both at the same time. ABC is just going to exclusive Monday Night Football, and ESPN is going to have the games, the NBA, and then ESPN's going to have the pre-game to Monday Night Football. The Christmas Night Football on Monday Night Football, and the ABC will have the NBA games, which is smart, Unless there's college basketball, which sometimes there is, that would be for men's college basketball, one little tournament around this time. Maybe if there is, that'll be on ESPN 2. Oh, maybe we'll see. Anyways, the Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears is an Amazon Prime Video. The 1-win Carolina Panthers team against like a 2-win Chicago Bears team. So Carolina, I believe, is like 1-7. And I believe Chicago's like 2-6 or 2-7. So it's like, ugh. But they cannot flex Amazon Thursday Night Football. NFL cannot flex Amazon Thursday Night Football yet. So you're stuck with that game. Abs versus New England and Frankfurt. They're not going to flex the Frankfurt Germany games. And they usually don't. But Jason McCourty are going to do that one. And tonight is New York Jets in Las Vegas. NFL was not going to flex. NFL has not flexed any NBC games. They can flex NBC games. Two Sunday footballs they can flex out if they want to. But they haven't in ESPN Monday Football. They can't flex Monday Night Football yet. They can flex it 2 times within within so many weeks, and then near the end of the season they can flex it as many times as they want. But they haven't used one single flex yet in this game, and they're not doing it for the Vikings and at Broncos game. Just kind of surprised. I thought it might be flexed to go 305 or 325 time slot. I thought it might be. But that game is not going to be flexed. At least the Jets in Vegas, at least both those teams are 4-4, so at least in maybe some sort of playoff contention. If they might not make it to the playoffs. But if you're in Chicago, that's gonna be simulcast on WSOC, ABC 9 and WFLB Fox 32 in Chicago, and Indianapolis will be simulcast on WXAN Fox 59 Indianapolis and WCVB ABC 5 in Boston. So usually it's the channels that show preseason. Usually the preseason games. And the buys are Kansas City, LA Rams, Miami, and Philadelphia. So we have here CBS single window. A lot of channels are opting to show the best game, which is Detroit at LA Chargers, the late. And what they do is with the single window, if your team is playing, the other channel, if you see CBS has a single window, and you're playing and your local team is playing on Fox, then usually the other channel in your local area will show like whatever they want to show, usually sometimes maybe paid programming infomercials because they know no one's really gonna watch. They're gonna watch the local football team, anyways. And then they might show if CBS there's stuff like Fox does after NFL games, like single window. Other sports. NFL time up. They'll do the same thing. CBS might do that. And then show it either live. Most of the country will see it live at after the football ends the first round. Or they'll show it before, if you have the late game. And others have it pre-recorded, but they'll show it, some pre-recorded thing they'll show. Maybe. But anyways, Green Bay at Pittsburgh is the best game, apparently according to CBS, which I just don't see it. Houston and Cincinnati should be picked, I think, over Green Bay Pittsburgh, but apparently not. Apparently most of Washington, some of Idaho, all Nebraska, Wyoming, a little bit Montana, a little bit Wyoming. We have most of North Dakota, actually all of South Dakota, a little bit of Nebraska, most of Iowa, not a little bit of Minnesota, it's Iowa stations. But then some of the Duluth, Minnesota area, northern Minnesota areas can show that we got most Wisconsin, except for a little bit of Wisconsin that shows its Minnesota stations. And then we have most of Michigan, most of Upper Michigan, of most of Illinois, most of Indiana. And we got, North Carolina, South Carolina, Oklahoma. You got Arkansas. You got a little bit of Mississippi, Alabama. And you got North Carolina, South Carolina. You got most of West Virginia. You got Pennsylvania, a little bit of Ohio. You got almost the whole East Coast from most of North South Carolina, all that except for the Baltimore area. Then Houston, Cincinnati, of Texas, and Louisiana. Most of Louisiana is going to show. And then you got that game. And then you got a little bit of New Mexico, tiny little area in Oklahoma, and tiny little touch in Kansas. And you got the Cincinnati, Ohio area, the Dayton, Ohio area, the Louisville, Lexington, Kentucky, and Charleston, West Virginia area. And that's with Kevin Harlan, Chuck Green, Andrew Kellen, Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan. They have Tennessee at Tampa Bay. It's all Tennessee. Some of Alabama, not Alabama, some of Alabama. Some of Mississippi, some of Arkansas. A little bit of Kentucky. And a little bit of Missouri and Illinois. It must be like some station that gets like right out along like this right here, like along the Tennessee border. Maybe that's a little station that's right on the border of Tennessee. Maybe that reaches a little bit into Missouri. Maybe a little into Kentucky, maybe a little into Illinois, maybe. And then it's most of Florida, except for the Jacksonville area. And Trail Lake Chargers. You got some Minnesota. And then most of Minnesota, except for like the Duluth area. And you have the Fargo, North Dakota area. And then you have most of Nebraska, most of Kansas, and Missouri. And then you got most of Wyoming, most of Idaho. And a good bit of Idaho, including the Blaze area. Most of Oregon, a little bit of Washington. Most of California, except for a tiny little touch that it's Arizona station. You got all of Nevada, of Utah, of Colorado, most of New Mexico. You got the New Orleans area, you got the Jackson area, you got the Baltimore area, you got the Cleveland, Ohio area. You got a little bit of Indiana and all Detroit, a lower Michigan area, and a little bit of upper Michigan. I think it's like a lower Michigan station, TV station. Then we have Atlanta. That's with Tipton and Sumo. They're running the best scheme, and I don't blame them. I mean, Houston is actually a good one, though. Houston is actually not bad. I mean, Cincinnati's not a bad team. Though. Because I believe Cincinnati is, I want to say they're 4-4. I know Houston's 4-4. Cincinnati could be 5 and either 5-3 or 4-4. Detroit 6 and 2, and LA Chargers are 4 and 4. So maybe that's a little bit better team. You know, I mean, maybe they're just not. Everyone's not completely sold on Houston yet. Maybe. I mean, Houston. I mean, you know. So we'll see. Atlanta, Arizona spread eats Atlanta is almost Arizona, and just Atlanta, Georgia area. The Georgia and Love, South Carolina, and Alabama. It's like Georgia station, Augusta, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia station, and then maybe Miss Georgia area, maybe. Yes, we'll see here. And then we have the Fox early and Fox late windows. Most of the country is going to get San Francisco at Jacksonville with Joe Davis and Daryl Johnston. That's like a top matchup. New Jacksonville is like their 2-loss team. They're what 6 and I think maybe they're 7 and 2. No, taking on like a struggling San Francisco team. They're 5 and I want to say they're 5 and 3 or 6 and 3. I know they have like 3 losses on the year. They're doing so well, but they'll figure it out. And then we have New Orleans at Minnesota. New Orleans is coming off a win here. They're about 5 and 4 against the 5 and 4 Minnesota Vikings team. They're in Cincinnati. So both teams, or maybe they're 4 and 4 if they had bye. So they're coming off both are pretty even records. And that game is going to be most of Wyoming, most of Montana, a little bit of Wyoming, all of South North Dakota, most of Nebraska, all of Iowa, a little bit of Missouri and Kansas, a little bit. I'll go stretch on in Illinois, about half of Illinois, most all Wisconsin, all Michigan, and then a little bit of Indiana. And we have a little bit of Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, a little of Tennessee, and then stretches in a little bit of Florida, and then Alabama, most of Alabama, most of Mississippi, all of Louisiana, a little bit of Texas, I think it's Louisiana Station, and a little bit of Texas, I think it's Louisiana Stations, and then there might be a stretch of Oklahoma that gets like a Arkansas Station. That's in the game, or maybe the Shreveport, Louisiana Station. We'll see. But yeah, most of Arkansas is getting that game. And we have Cleveland, Baltimore, Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma. So the Kansas City is getting that game. And so like the Kansas City and Topeka area is getting that game. You have most of Ohio except for one area is the area that gets the Fort Wayne stations. That we have most Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky areas. West Virginia, we have most of Virginia, the DC, Baltimore area, the DC, Washington DC area, the Baltimore, Maryland area is getting that. You have Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, and some other areas, but not the Philadelphia area. The Buffalo area is getting that game as well. And we have the Fox slate. New York Giants at Dallas is the game that's going to be shown in most of the country. Which, yeah, I don't blame them. Because they thought that was going to be a feature game. And it is. Washington, Seattle is not the feature game. Even though it'll be probably a more competitive matchup, though. It's just Seattle who's been struggling a little bit lately. And Washington, has been kind of struggling too. Most of the country is going to see Giants and Dallas, except for Alaska. And then we got Washington, Oregon, all of California, most of Idaho, most of Montana, a little bit of Wyoming. And we have the DC metro area. We have all Virginia, all of West Virginia, the Baltimore, Maryland area, and a tiny little bit of Pennsylvania. It's like a Maryland station. And yeah, and that's about it. So, yeah, that's about it. So, we have for week 10 of the 2023 NFL team. I'm going to show you I'm going to do week 11 here with you. We'll do a little teaser. Do a teaser week 11. So far it's Cincinnati and Baltimore and Amazon, which is going to be going. We got Minnesota, Denver, and NBC, and I feel if I can see in Eastern ABC. In Atlanta Falcons, Indianapolis Colts, New England Patriots, New Orleans Saints. There you have the buys. And CBS, after 2 weeks in the single window, they went back to see. They would do the late window. It's the feature game in the first one was going to be Pittsburgh at Cleveland. That's going to be the best feature game. And that makes sense. Miami, I'm not taking, if they weren't taking on Las Vegas, I would see them. It could be a feature game, Miami could. So could Jackson, but they're taking Tennessee. Houston. I mean, maybe. But CBS is like a second game, which they probably are a good second game. But they're taking Arizona. So they're like, yeah, Arizona's really one more. They got one upset. And that's probably all they'll get. Mostly New York Jets at Buffalo and LA Rams. So neither game is really amazing. I mean, really amazing. New York Jets been, Zach Wilson's been looking not the greatest. Buffalo's been looking solid. Seattle LA Rams. I mean, we'll see. I would think it would be New York Jets at Buffalo because usually if they have an East Coast game, East Coast or Central, like Eastern time zone team, or they got Central time zone team. Unless it's like Denver, Arizona, or like any team in California, like 49ers, Rams, Chargers, Seahawks, all those West Coast teams. Those teams are, or in the Vegas Raiders, those teams are like West Coast teams, like Pacific time zone teams and Mountain time zone teams. Like in the case of Denver and Arizona Cardinals, because they don't have a daylight savings, but whatever time, they're always at the 4:25 Eastern window. I mean, Denver could play at like either time. They could play like early. They could play like 11 a.m. their time, or 2. So it's one of those things where you could play at either time. They always play in the second slot for whatever reason. And we have the Fox window, which has Foxes. Maybe had some good games without making up. Because NBC also. There's 2 good games in prime time. Cincinnati and Baltimore play if I can see the 2. It's not just CBS Lights, kind of those 2 also. It's not just Fox. Dallas at Carolina. New York Giants at Washington. It's either gonna be Los Angeles Chargers at Green Bay, probably the feature game, or is it New York Giants? No, I don't think that's New York Giants at Washington. It's gotta be the LA Chargers at Green Bay. Chicago at Detroit. Chicago has a little better record than Carolina does. Dallas is going at Carolina. Carolina. Chicago has a better record than Carolina, right? Right now they do, but it's gonna come down to who wins that Carolina-Chicago match. Who looks better? And who wins that one? they'll probably get the feature, not on Fox Single. Ugh. Start playing the feature on the Fox Single window for week 11. The players, no one really cares. Players and the coaches and all that stuff, they don't really care. But man, you are playing via the Fox Single window. Maybe because maybe it seems that they're playoff contenders. With some up and coming teams, possibly. You have LA Chargers at Green Bay. Maybe LA Chargers at Green Bay. Green Bay's not really going much when your Chargers are deep. I'm struggling a little bit, but they're gonna make it and sneak in as a wild card, most likely, probably. So we'll see what happens there, but man, should be some, I don't know, for Fox window next week. Something else, take care.